My lemon ricotta pancakes, they're light, they're fluffy, and then you have this beautiful strawberry orangey sauce over the top of them. It makes for a beautiful sunshiny day. Let's grab my Meyer lemons. Meyer lemons are like a smile in a lemon. They're just such a beautiful, perfumey flavor. My wet ingredients are milk, eggs, ricotta cheese, and Meyer lemon zest and juice. Wet into dry, and then so I'm gonna go ahead, whip up my egg whites, and I'm gonna fold those in. The key to keeping these pancakes super light and fluffy, when you're folding in the beaten egg whites, do it quickly, but don't squash the air out of them. That's what's gonna keep them light and fluffy. There'll be like Meyer lemon ricotta clouds. It's griddle time. I've got my beautiful, fluffy Meyer lemon pancake batter ready to rock on that grill. I like sort of a medium-sized pancake. If you like little tiny ones, make little tiny ones. If you like big, huge ones, make big, huge ones. You know when to flip your pancakes when you see the little holes come to the surface of the pancakes and stay open. Look at these sexy goodnesses. Then we spoon over the strawberry coulis, which is just strawberry, sugar, and orange juice with a little dash of powdered sugar. That's what I'm talking about. Light, fluffy, ethereal, cloud-like pancakes with strawberries. One of the best breakfasts I've ever made, and I'm hoping they're gonna be one of the best ones you ever made, too.
We are making pineapple upside-down pancakes.
Yes.
Wow. And here it is right here. Are you ready?
Oh.
Starting with, right, we all know what this is. It's canned pineapple segment, right? And all we're gonna do is kind of coat it in some brown sugar, just like that. And we got a nice hot griddle going. Put a little butter on there.
Oh, I love pancakes cooked in butter.
I think that's, I think it's a
Crispy
must.
edges.
Yes, crispy edges, caramelization, like the milk fat in there helps brown it too. So we're gonna do the same and create that caramelization we love in pineapple upside down cakes, right? When you turn it over, the big reveal. So about 5 minutes after a nice caramelization on there, we add a cherry right in the middle of the pineapple. How cute is that?
So cute.
Your favorite pancake batter recipe, and you pour it right on there, right?
Could be right out of a box.
Exactly. Nobody's gonna judge you here. And it's gonna sit on there, right? Nice medium heat until it's beautiful this color. Let's check this. Can you see what this is? Oh, that's beautiful. Don't be afraid to drag it through the butter a little bit.
Yeah, give me some extra butter.
Look at there. Put it on a plate.
Yes.
Listen,
Look at that.
I don't think there's any syrup necessary on there,
No,
but what
butter
is
me
necessary?
up.
It's a couple pads of butter on that warm pancake.
Oh, it's a vacation.
That's a lot
That's
of
a
butter.
vacation, right? Hey, this is not the time to start eating steamed broccoli for breakfast.
Peaches and cream pancake. Okay, so in my pan here, I've already got kind of preheated. I'm gonna get some butter into it and melt that down. I do this a lot, all right, in my kitchen. So the butter, then right on top of it, you don't have to wait for everything. Light brown sugar.
Look at that. Butter and brown sugar is just a great start to any recipe.
A little bit of cinnamon's gonna go in. Listen, if you got some cinnamon sugar right there, you know, next to your stove, shake that in there, no big deal. And a pinch of salt. All right, so I'm going to make sure all of these hang out together. The butter's gonna melt, the light brown sugar's gonna melt into it, caramelize just a little bit. Very easy, just butter, brown sugar, a little pinch of salt so you can feel that sweetness going down, and some cinnamon. And while that's coming together and melting, I wanna talk to you about the batter. Now, this is from the box. You just add water to, very simple. Okay, so these are just frozen peaches. You can get them, obviously, in the freezer section, but you can do canned peaches as well. And if you got fresh peaches, just slice them up and get them right in. All right, now the game plan here is we want everything coated. Look at that, instant coating of flavor. And I gotta tell you, I do this with apples and brown sugar, any kind of like stone fruit that you like and you wanna sweeten up a little bit, brown sugar is the way to go. And pancakes love brown sugar, all right? All right, look at that. It's gonna thicken up just a little bit because of the sugar, and then just come in here and pour over this rested batter. I usually start around the edge. Look at all of those holes and pockets I told you about. And the good thing about this is you can set it and kind of walk away from it for a minute. Once you put the batter over the top, you can get it into the oven at 375 degrees. Look, I've got one here hanging out and waiting. Now, this is a grill, basically an outdoor oven, all right? Don't be afraid of it. 375, close it up for about 15 to 20 minutes. And while that's cooking and finishing, I can show you how to make the drizzle to complete this whole peaches and cream idea. So we've got the peaches and the pancake. So this is just whipped cream cheese. And then to that, I'm gonna add the zest. Remember, I put some lemon juice in the actual batter? The zest is gonna go in. A little bit of powdered sugar or confectioner's sugar. And then I like to whisk it up. And then add heavy cream until it gets to that drizzle consistency. It already smells good. The lemon zest just does so much. So just a little goes a long way. Just kind of whisk and turn, whisk and turn. And then a little bit more. You can do half and half if you have it. Nut milk works as well. I always have some almond milk in the fridge. I'm just gonna add all of it. All right, this can really benefit from a nice pinch of salt as well. That lemon zest is doing so much work. All right, I'm gonna get this into my cute little... Yummy. All right, let's get this pancake out. See, already just a few minutes in, it's setting up. Look at this baby right here. Ah. No flipping required, all right? Come in here and give a nice drizzle everywhere of that cream. Gotta pollock it, right? I'm gonna cut into this baby right here. I can already tell how fluffy it is just from cutting into it. Ooh, I want this piece. Literally how I get breakfast on the table many mornings. Look at that.
Big, fluffy pancakes and sausage. To get started on my pancakes, I'm gonna whip up 4 egg whites, and beating all this air into them is gonna help them achieve that cloud-like souffle texture. Okay. Now when I can see the tracks of my mixer left behind in the egg whites, that's how I know they're starting to hold those soft peaks. I'm gonna grab a 1/4 cup of sugar, and I'll continue to mix as I add the sugar in gradually. So I'll mix these up to stiff peaks now. I'll set these aside and then mix up my yolk mixture. I've got 1/2 cup of whole milk, and I've allowed it to come to room temperature because I'm about to add some melted butter, and I don't want cold milk firming up melted butter. I'll add a splash of vanilla, and I'll whisk this up. All right, and now for my dry ingredients, one of my favorite shortcuts, I'm just gonna use pancake mix. I'm gonna add 3/4 cup of this. I'll whisk together, and now I'll fold in my egg whites gently. I don't wanna deflate all of the air that's trapped in them. So to fold, I'm gonna cut down the center, swing it around the outside of the bowl, and then keep on cutting it down the center and swinging it around the outside of the bowl. That allows the egg whites to incorporate without deflating them. These are inspired by souffle pancakes. They're big and puffy, and they get that height from the egg whites. So it's really important that you do these 2 steps. Okay, I've got my pan here that's heating over low. I'm gonna add a pat of butter, a necessary step to every pancake. I'll get this melted and swirl it around. And now to get their signature cylindrical shape, I've got some ring molds. And I'm gonna fill up the ring molds till they're about 2/3 of the way. I'll cover these now and let them cook on low for 10 minutes. And in that time, I'm gonna make some sausage. I'll start with a pound of ground pork, add some salt, brown sugar, fresh rosemary, sage, and thyme. Then mix it up and divide it into balls, and then flatten into a patty. And I'm gonna go for about a 4-inch diameter because these patties will shrink a little bit as they cook. And when they do shrink, then they'll shrink down to the 3 inches that my pancakes are. That's looking good. I'll plop this down onto my griddle. That's what I wanna hear. I'll keep on shaping my patties and let these cook on medium-high heat for 4 minutes per side. I think it's time to flip my pancakes. Oh yeah, they're looking good. They're mostly set, so I know they're ready to flip. I'm gonna flip them right in their ring molds, very carefully, because I don't want them to deflate. They have a nice golden color. It's what I'm looking for. right, I'll cover these up and let them go for about another 7 minutes. And while I'm in the flipping mood, I'll flip my sausage. Oh yeah, that's some good brown color. I'll plate these up. Oh yeah, this is looking good. And now the moment of truth for my pancakes. Ha! Look how geometrically pleasing. They're so tall and fluffy and round. I'm gonna pile these right on top of the sausage. I'm gonna do a double stack. They need a pat of butter. And the final touch, a drizzle of syrup. Okay, I'll get a little bit of pancake, a little bit of the sausage. Here I go.
We're gonna start our caramel. 1.5 cups of honey. So this is clover honey. I would say clover honey is probably the most popular honey that you'd find. I'm gonna take 1/2 cup of cream. We're just gonna combine it, the cream and the honey, and then put on the heat and let this get to 240 degrees. And then when that happens, we're gonna add a little bit of butter and some bourbon, a little bit of vanilla, and then we're gonna add some salt. And the salt is gonna give it that salted honey caramel flavor that's so popular these days. And it's gonna go terrifically with our pistachio and chocolate chip pancakes. Speaking of which, let's make some pancakes. We're gonna start with 1 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour. 2 1/4 teaspoons of baking powder. A little bit of salt. And that is the dry ingredients. And then we're gonna combine the wet ingredients. So we have a couple of eggs. One and a half cups of buttermilk. Some vanilla extract. 2 tablespoons of honey. 3 tablespoons of butter. It's melted, so it will incorporate into the wet ingredients. Then some orange zest. And then we're gonna chop up some pistachios and some semi-sweet chocolate. Pistachios are definitely one of my favorite nuts, and I love all things pistachio. I love pistachio cakes, I love pistachio gelato, pistachio ice cream, pistachio milkshakes. Now, when you're working with pistachio nuts, they're really dense, they're very firm. I think it's a good idea to kind of chop them up into smaller pieces, especially for, something like pancakes. Okay, that's the pistachios. And then we have some semi-sweet chocolate that we're gonna just chop up. And if you want to, you could use, semi-sweet chocolate chips as well. But we're gonna chop up our own chocolate. So we have shards of chocolate running through the pancakes. Not too bitter, not too sweet. They call it semi-sweet. Okay. I'm gonna put the wet into the dry, just until it forms a batter, and then we'll fold in the pistachios and the chocolate chips, or the chocolate shards. Smell that orange zest. When the pancakes hit the griddle or the pan, you're gonna smell the orange immediately. All right, chocolate and pistachios. So I think these are a little bit thick. I'm just gonna add a splash of buttermilk. I love buttermilk because it has like a little tang to it, but also promotes a tender pancake. Okay. Check on our caramel. Now we're 240 degrees. We're gonna add a little bit of vanilla, a tablespoon of bourbon, a couple of tablespoons of butter, and some salt. After it gets to 240, then you can just add the ingredients and kind of swirl it around, and we'll have our caramel. That looks great. So good.
I'm making my churro pancakes with sweet milk glaze. They combine elements of Mexican churros in pancake form. To get started, I'll combine my dry ingredients. In my bowl here, I'll add 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/4 cup of sugar. These are gonna be extra sweet. 3/4 of a teaspoon of kosher salt, And then I'll make these pancakes extra fluffy with 1 teaspoon of baking powder and a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. I'll grab my spices now. I've got cinnamon and nutmeg. Cinnamon is the signature flavor of churros. I'll add 1 teaspoon. And then I'm gonna grate in some fresh nutmeg. I'll whisk to combine. All right, my dry ingredients are combined, and now I'll mix up my wet ingredients. I've got 2 eggs and buttermilk. You've gotta have buttermilk in pancakes. It adds that great tanginess. I'll measure out 1 3/4 cup of buttermilk. And I'll keep this standing by for my glaze. 2 eggs. 3 tablespoons of melted butter, which I've allowed to cool slightly. And this will help keep the pancakes moist. And a teaspoon of vanilla extract will complement the cinnamon really nicely. I'll whisk this up. Buttermilk smells a good smell. I'll add the wet to the dry and mix until just combined. I don't want to overmix and create a gummy pancake. I love the speckles of cinnamon in the batter. So beautiful. My batter's combined. There are still a few lumps, which is what I want. It's what I'm looking for. And now I'm ready to cook up these pancakes. The key to next level pancakes is not skimping on the butter. So a layer of butter in between each batch of pancakes will yield that golden, crispy edge and more butter flavor. Love that sizzle. And now I'll portion in scoops of the batter and give them enough space on all sides so that they can get cooked evenly and become their best circular selves. I'll let these cook until they're browned on the bottom and the bubbles rise to the top and pop, and then I'll know that they're ready to flip, and then I'll cook them until brown on the other side. Yes! Look at that golden brown edge. This is a perfect pancake. I'll flip the rest of these and then let them go for another minute on the other side. These are ready to come off. They're so fluffy. And just like a churro, I'm gonna sprinkle these with cinnamon sugar. Okay, I'm gonna keep on pancaking. These pancakes look phenomenal, but I'm gonna make them even better with a sweet milk glaze. This is a really simple glaze. I'll add 1½ cups of powdered sugar to my bowl, a pinch of salt, 2 tablespoons of buttermilk, a splash of vanilla for more flavor, and then I'll whisk it until it's smooth. I want a glaze that's thick but pourable. If it's too thin, add more powdered sugar, and if it's too thick, add a little more milk. This is perfect.
So I'm gonna make the pancake batter in the blender, which makes it doubly easy, adding in whole milk and a couple of eggs, and then 1/4 cup of sugar. It's kind of a sweet pancake batter, which is my personal preference. I'm sure that surprises you. Baking powder right on in. I hope everything fits. And then just regular flour. Okay, I think I can get the rest of it in. It's like a smoothie, but not. And then a good amount of vanilla. Years and years ago, I was trying to figure out the secret for making pancakes that taste like pancake houses, and vanilla is the secret. Okay, so I'm gonna blend this for 30 seconds. Oops, I forgot to add butter. Okay. I'm gonna blend it again for another 12 seconds. Okay, I'll blend it up. So I have a sheet pan smeared with a ton of butter. There's butter everywhere you turn. Oh, the handle's over here. Now I'm gonna pour the handle into the sheet pan.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I'm gonna pour the batter into the sheet pan. This is a sheet pan, right? Okay. So this is really fun. So I'm going to actually arrange fruit in 3 sections. So strawberries first. Basically, the pancake puffs up around whatever topping you choose. Blueberries and chocolate chips in the third. Okay, so let's put it in the oven, Alex. You ready?
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. So look, woo, try not to disturb it too much. I think I already did. Here, get back over there. All right, now I'm gonna put the pan into the oven. This is an oven, right?
I think so.
And I'm gonna bake it at 425 for 25 minutes. Now, don't be disappointed that you can't see the blueberries very well. They are definitely in there. I see them. Okay, so isn't this pretty?
It is beautiful.
I just think it looks so good, but as good as it looks, that's nothing compared to how it smells, which is nothing compared to how it's gonna taste, right?
That's right.
So, what kind of pancake would you like, Mauricio?
Strawberry to make it really hard for you.
What about you, Stu?
I'll do a blueberry.
Wow.
You ready? Come take a bite and tell us how it is.
Oh my goodness.
3, 2, 1, bite.
Wow, delicious.
All right, so we're gonna put about a half a cup of peanut butter in a double boiler here. Really, it's just a bowl over some water. Make sure that the water is boiling, but the bowl is not touching the boiling water. This is gonna help us melt our peanut butter. Now, of course, you can do this in your microwave, but peanut butter does have the tendency to scorch, so you gotta really keep an eye on it. But if you're a Mike sleuth, get it popping. By all means. All right, half a cup of our peanut butter goes in. Now that's gonna melt for us. In the meantime, we're gonna build some of the dry components that are gonna go for our peanut butter and jelly pancakes. First things first, we're gonna do about a cup of flour and a couple of tablespoons. Let me get a knife out so I can measure as well. Get a nice even top on it. All right, cup of flour goes in. And I really love these pancakes. They're gonna really cook up nice and fluffy for you. You can add, you know what, if you don't have the sauce I'm gonna show you how to do later, the blackberry sauce, totally okay to like do your own jelly and syrup blend. I've done that before, but let me tell you, the blackberry sauce that's coming up in a minute, it is worth the effort, and not a lot of effort, so don't even stress about it. All right, got the flour and the sugar in there. Gonna add to that some baking powder and salt, about a half teaspoon of salt. You might be saying to yourself, wait a minute, this is a pancake recipe, but hey, the salt goes into anything sweet. I feel like you can't taste the sweet without the salt. All right, then we're gonna add a tablespoon of baking powder. The reason for baking powder in your pancakes, that's what makes them rise and makes them nice and airy and fluffy, all right? I'm gonna finish up our PB&J batter, our PB&J pancake batter. That's 1 egg that's going into the peanut butter. Remember, I melted that over the stove. And then to that, I'm gonna add a cup of milk. I love pancakes. I used to go to the school growing up where I don't even know what day of the week was it they did breakfast, but they'd wrap them with sausage, like in the middle. Oh, it was like the pig in the blanket. I loved it. I'm in love with them. And then, of course, you know, my boyfriend with the peanut butter and everything. All right, so 1 cup of milk is gonna go in there, and then I'm gonna add to that 2 tablespoons of cooking oil. Canola, vegetable, anything that's not gonna add any flavor, so don't do your olive oil with this, okay? All right, 1 tablespoon in, and then another. Now, you always add the wet to the dry. You don't wanna do them all at the same time because you want a nice, light, and fluffy batter. Okay, so I'm gonna whisk this all together. It's gonna be really good. And this is great. It's not gonna be an overpowering peanut butter flavor. You're gonna taste and say, hey, what is this on my tongue? It's peanut butter. This is a really cool menu. Makes me feel like I'm a kid again. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I was never one of the crust removers. I'm fine with the crust. Okay, so we're gonna pour all of the wet right into the dry. And the trick again to your nice light and fluffy pancakes is not to over-mix the batter. Okay, so just stir it in. A couple of lumps are okay. And while you're stirring it, once it gets to the end, you wanna kind of look for texture because these are gonna pour out onto a griddle. So you want it to be loose enough to pour, but not so tight that it's a dollop. Do you know what I mean? So it's a little tight. Add a little bit more milk to that, and then it'll be ready to go on the griddle once we heat it up. And speaking of that, I'm gonna have to preheat it in a minute so it'll be nice and warm. I'm gonna warm up my griddle, and we're gonna start on the syrup that's gonna go on top of our PB&J pancakes. It's gonna be blackberry syrup. Now, like I said before, you can be super lazy and you can do the jelly with your syrup that you bought at the store and mix them together, but this is a nice breakfast. So treat someone nice and hook them up with a homemade syrup. It's simple, watch. We're gonna do a cup of water, and to that we're gonna add about a cup or so of sugar. And that's gonna make our simple syrup. And to that, we're gonna add our blackberries. Now, if you're really into syrup, it doesn't have to be blackberries. It could be any kind of berry, raspberries. I love doing this with blueberries as well. All right, so to our cup of water, almost a cup of sugar, 1 and 1. I'm gonna get that boiling, and to that, we're gonna add the blackberries. I really love syrup. I usually pour it all over like the meat, the bacon, whatever, the sausage, anything that's on the breakfast plate. Waiting on my blackberry syrup to get nice and thick. Now, you know what a syrup looks like, so you know how thick it should be. So we've got the butter on here on our griddle. This is cast iron, so it's a nice, even heat. What I also like about this is, you season it up, you don't have to use a lot of butter. And what we have in here is 2 tablespoons of cooking oil. So it's kind of already got its own built-in lubrication. Just a little bit right there. Now, normally when you make pancakes, you're looking for the bubbles so you know when to flip them. But with these, the bubbles are gonna start showing up around the edges, then start kind of checking under it to see if it's golden and ready to flip, because sometimes the peanut butter stops the bubble action. All right, we're gonna finish off our blackberry sauce, and all we gotta do is pour it through the strainer. Now that is gonna be some good syrup on our PB&J pancakes. All right. What I'm gonna do is just use the back or the front of the wooden spoon. Just push it as much as you can, get the liquid out. Every time I make the syrup, I say to myself, you know, I really should save the blackberries and turn them in some kind of a spread if you're into the seeds, but I am so not a seed person, which is why we're straining right now. Okay, got the most moisture out as I can get. Make sure everything is ready to go with our eggs, and I'm gonna check my pancakes. Just got a couple more on the griddle right now, left over from the batter. All right, we're looking pretty good. Not quite yet, but I can eat these, and I cannot wait. Peanut butter pancakes. Ugh, just half a cup does a world of good. All right, so to our pancakes, the blackberry sauce we just finished off. Remember how simple this was? Just water, sugar, blackberries, and a little bit of lemon zest. Adds a nice little kick to it. Give this a taste. I bet it's good. Can't tell you how many times I've had this thanks to my peanut butter loving boyfriend. All right.
I'm gonna make lemon ricotta pancakes with fresh figs. All the flavors of these pancakes are in the pancakes. So I'm starting with 1 cup of ricotta, whole milk ricotta. Next is a cup of buttermilk. You always wanna be sure to shake the buttermilk because it settles, but it's got a richness about it that's different from regular milk and a tangy flavor. So far it sounds pretty good, right? Not like ordinary pancakes. Okay, 3 extra large eggs. I'm just gonna whisk these together. One of the nice things about pancake batter is you can make it the night before and just scoop it out and make pancakes in the morning. Okay, next, 1/4 cup of sugar. I want them to be a little sweet. 1 1/2 tablespoons of grated lemon zest. These are really lemony pancakes. 1 1/2, that's perfect. And 1/4 cup of freshly squeezed lemon juice. And 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla, pure vanilla extract, as opposed to the imitation stuff. Just whisk this together. Okay, that's the wet ingredients. Next, the dry. So I need 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/4 cup of cornstarch, which is gonna make them really tender, tablespoon of baking powder, make them light, 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt, just makes them taste good. So that's the dry ingredients. The thing about this base that's so nice is lemon and ricotta. It's just a great pancake. And I have figs in season, which are great with it, but you can make it with blueberries, you can make it with chocolate chips. So be creative. Okay, that's the dry ingredients. Now I'm gonna put them in the wet ingredients. Just mix this in. You don't wanna over-mix it because you'll end up with tough pancakes. We want really tender pancakes. Fold it in just enough so that the flour's just mixed in. I'm just gonna let it sit for 5 minutes, and that allows the gluten in the flour to relax. Makes a really tender pancake. Okay, that's the batter. I'm gonna let it sit. I'm gonna prep the figs. So this is what I have. I have fresh figs. They're so delicious. I'm gonna cut this in 1/2-inch dice. Try and get ripe figs if you can, but if they're a little underripe, don't worry, because when you cook them, they kind of sweeten and caramelize. I'm gonna make the pancakes, put the figs on, turn them over. Figs will cook. Maple syrup, butter on top. How bad could that be? Of course, these are great for breakfast or like Sunday brunch. But I have to say, I served breakfast for dinner one time for a dinner party. People went berserk. It was like they just couldn't eat enough pancakes. It was really sweet. Okay, that's 8 figs, ½ diced. Let's make some pancakes. So I'm starting with clarified butter, and this is what it is. I took some butter, I put it in a pitcher, I put it in the microwave for 30 seconds to melt it. And the milk solids go to the bottom, and that's what burns. The clear liquid on top has a higher burning temperature, and since I don't want burnt pancakes, I'm just gonna use the clear liquid. 2 tablespoons of clarified butter for each batch. And here's my pro tip. I use an ice cream scoop. That way all the pancakes are exactly the same size. I'm only making 3 pancakes, but this batter will make 14. Just like that. Look how nice and thick they are. Another reason to let it sit is the batter gets really thick. And one more. And then I'm gonna put the figs right on top. Just place a couple of figs on each pancake. Just make sure every bite has fig in it. If you wanna make a few of these ahead, what you can do is make them and keep them warm in a 250 or 300 degree oven. They'll stay nice and warm and still really moist. Okay. You don't want to touch them until they're nice and browned on the bottom. They're so much easier to flip if the bottom is very firm. So it's about 3 minutes on one side. You're just waiting for bubbles to appear on the top. Don't walk away from it. It happens really fast. Unless, of course, you're staring at it, then it doesn't happen at all. Okay, time to flip the pancakes. Wish me luck. Perfect. Oops. And this is great when you flip it over. The other side cooks, but the figs really cook too. Okay, big plate. Let's see how these guys are doing. The other side cooks pretty quickly. So you want to press them, and when it springs back, kind of like a cake, they're done. So these guys are done. Okay. Do we think 3 pancakes is too much? There's no such thing as too many pancakes, right? 2, 3. Butter. This is totally decadent. A little maple syrup, because I love maple syrup. Right there. A little dusting of fresh lemon zest on the top, because that's the first thing you'll taste. And I would say I need a fork, because these are pancakes that are definitely best in class. Wow. Hot pancakes, my favorite. And you can really see the figs inside. Look how fabulous. Don't mind if I do. The figs are so flavorful. And the ricotta and the buttermilk and the lemon, those are definitely my favorite pancakes. Wow.
Welcome back, everybody. Today, it's all about taking your bakery favorites, your bakery classics, and turning them on their head and creating new dishes. Now we're gonna move on to some pancakes that are gonna be inspired by your favorite cinnamon bun. So now I'm gonna start by making the cinnamon sugar swirl. We started with some brown butter, and I'm gonna add about a ½ cup of dark brown sugar. And then a couple of teaspoons of cinnamon. Whisk this together. This is what we're gonna actually pipe into our pancakes when we put them in the pan. I'm gonna add about a ¼ cup of water. It's gonna get a little thick, a little syrupy, and the cinnamon is cooking. It smells great here. I want to keep stirring it because I don't want the cinnamon to clump up, or the sugar. And a couple of tablespoons of cream. And you really have to let this cool to use it. Smells good, though. Okay, so we have a little bit of warm maple syrup. I'm gonna pour it right over some softened cream cheese. This is gonna create our cream cheese glaze or frosting, basically what you get on top of a cinnamon bun. And this you wanna whisk pretty vigorously so it gets nice and smooth. Okay, let's make some pancakes. Let's start with 1½ cups of all-purpose flour. You know, I always have my recipes written down for batters and doughs, but you don't have to write them down, because all you need to do is go to foodnetwork.com/brunch, and the recipes are right there for you. 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of baking soda, 3 tablespoons of sugar, a good pinch of salt. Mix these together, and then we're gonna get to our wet ingredients. A couple of eggs. One and a half cups of buttermilk. You could use regular milk, but I love the flavor of buttermilk, and also I think buttermilk makes for a more tender pancake. A little bit of vanilla extract. 3 tablespoons of melted butter. The melted butter is gonna help make the pancakes a little golden brown on the outside. Now we're just going to fold the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients just until it forms a batter. Don't want to overmix them. Pancakes make me very happy. Such a good thing. Who doesn't like pancakes? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my brown sugar and cinnamon mixture and put it into a pastry bag so that when I put my pancakes into the pan, I can actually swirl it right into the middle of the pancake. So you can see it's kind of thickened up as it's cooled. Lots of delicious goodness in here. Cinnamon, brown butter, brown sugar, and a little cream. Okay. Let's start making some pancakes. I'm gonna get some butter going in my pan. So we're gonna put some pancake batter right into the pan. And I'm gonna spread a little bit. Those cook for a second. We're gonna take our cinnamon and brown sugar swirl and just swirl it right into the middle. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let the pancakes cook on one side, get them nice and crusty, and then we'll flip them over really quickly on the swirl side down, just to kind of cook the top of it. But for the most part, you're gonna cook them on one side, say like 80% on one side, flip them over for another 20% of the time, and then we'll be done. I slowed down the heat a little bit so that they actually cook through without getting too brown on the bottom side. At the same time, we don't want it to get too crusty here. Here we go, ready? Count to 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They're beautiful. It's almost like you kind of slice the pancake in half and you reveal the cinnamon right there. We're gonna keep making some cinnamon bun pancakes. We made a pancake batter and we just swirled the brown sugar and cinnamon mixture right into the pancake. Look how beautiful it is. Nicely caramelized, and it's actually part of the pancake, and it looks like a cinnamon bun, except it's a pancake. Who knew? Let's give some of these a taste. Really beautiful. I'm gonna chop some pecans, some toasted pecans. And we're gonna take our maple and cream cheese glaze or sauce. And then a few of the chopped pecans. And let's get at it. You know, it really tastes like one of those glazed cinnamon buns with the cream cheese and the maple glaze on top of the bun itself. We have the cinnamon and the brown sugar running through that swirl. Such a cool idea, and it's really beautiful too, and easy to do.